Hello and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Dzikry bin Muhammad Amir, and this is my video regarding the assignment individual 2 on my opinion to the articles that have been given. So in my opinion, I agree with what the author stated in the article. That is, there are 5 trends that may cause Malaysia risk not being a high-income economy even over the next 20 years. So the first trend that I agree is loss of economic dynamism and slower growth. As chart 1 shows, something seems to have gone out of the Malaysian economy after the Asian financial crisis, and it seems to have become less dynamic and experienced weaker growth. In the decade before the AFC, cumulative annual growth was 8.39%. In the decade before the AFC, cumulative annual growth was 8.39%. As shown in chart 2, after the AFC, the trend fall in GDP growth seems to have mirrored the fall in the exports to GDP ratio in GDP has been falling. However, chart 3 shows the growth of exports and overall trade has been on a long-term declining trend. The decline in growth of exports has also coincided with the fall in the contribution of the manufacturing sector to overall GDP. The second trend that I agree is weak productivity growth. The external sector is generally expected to have higher productivity than the domestic sector due to the greater competition in the international markets compared to the domestic market. And the list of some of the factors that may erode productivity and unless addressed will continue to do so in the future. And the first example is participation of females in labor force is relatively low based on the International Labour Organization. Numbers of participation of females of ages 15 plus is only 51%. And the second example is over-dependence on cheap foreign labor, which not only holds down incomes, but also keeps the economy stagnant and erodes the incentive to invest in the higher value-added activities. The third trend that I agree is weak fiscal management. As shown in chart 4, Malaysia has experienced persistent budget deficits since 1998. That is a lot, okay? That is a lot for us. So prior to that, it had 5 years of budget surpluses that adds up to more than 2 decades of budget deficits. And the fourth trend that I agree is less social cohesion after repeated failures of politicians to meet social and democratic challenges. A united nation can confront any challenge by drawing on the fortitude of its citizens that are united by a common purpose. Vision 2020, had it been taken seriously, would have been a game changer towards creating a united nation. However, it was not to be. These are some of the questions to ask after 30 years. Example is our economy strong, resilient, competitive and dynamic? Are we an economically self-righteous society with fair distribution of wealth and without discrimination, exploitations and injustices? And the last trend that I agree is failure of governance at multiple levels. Sound governance is the bedrock on which good economic and financial decisions are made. In well-functioning democratic societies, there are enough checks and balances to preempt significant threats to governance. Corruption is a disease that has spread its tentacles far and wide and shredded the very fabric of governance. So the conclusion is, it is not too late, but it may yet not be too late, but allow these trends to continue for another decade, and it may very well be a good starting point would be to revisit the aspirations of Vision 2020. In particular, we can no longer allow institutionalized discrimination to be the norm in our society. So that's all for me. Thank you.